Hello again, this is 23rd of March 2023, and this is yet another Orty Thoughty, which was going to be a part 3 to my me and my spin on Father Ted, but I think that's been done. I think it's been done to death, not just by me, by many people over many years. And there's just one question that, well, certainly I haven't seen be asked anywhere. And it's something that I think is of value to the neurodiverse community. Maybe not worth an entire study, but, certainly worth discussion, which is, why is Dougal stupid? What is stupid about Dougal? I mean, it's kind of an effort for me to remember sometimes that he wasn't made to be an autistic character, or even really a relatable, empathetic character. He's supposed to be just like the traditional sitcom dunce, the sort of bald-draped Manuel, Alice Tinker sort of character, who just gets things wrong and says the wrong thing at the wrong time and doesn't know anything because, well, rightly or wrongly, people find that kind of thing funny. As I've said numerous times, regular viewers will remember, I see him as an autistic character. I mean, even before I knew what that meant, he was someone who was doing all the sort of same things I did that annoyed my mum. Like hiding behind the chair when new people arrive and, sticking my head out the car window. It's a sensory thing, the air blows up your nostrils. It's amazing. Taking board games very seriously, that kind of thing. I think when you watch the show, bearing in mind that he is autistic, not necessarily an idiot, I mean, he can be both, it does start throwing up a lot of questions about what is intelligence, what is stupidity, how do we express intelligence? How do we perceive intelligence? And this is a question that I've actually been wanting to discuss on this vlog for quite some time, but never really had any sort of catalyst to start it off. I think when you actually watch what's going on in the show, what the character is actually getting wrong, and what he gets right as well, it does start to make you wonder, why is are we supposed to assume he's a bit daft? I mean, we see many times throughout the show, he has skills and interests and a sense of humour. He comes up with creative ideas. He has a lot of knowledge of various things that are going on. And these aren't just sort of bits of clumsily shoehorned in exposition, or, just a little bit of plot device that, they had to sort of alter the character a bit to try and get it in there. These are things that happen repeatedly. You see him in several episodes, several times, sort of imparting some accurate, pertinent information. Coming up with some sort of idea that is, either entertaining or useful in some way. And he starts to, well, obviously he's thinking, he has, he can make connections, he can be creative. Why then are we expected to see this character as being stupid? because his short-term memory isn't quite what you'd expect it to be. Because he starts having a conversation and then forgets where he is and zones out. Misses the point. These are all sort of things that, neurodiverse people do often. However, skilled or competent we are in other ways, we are always a bit out of step with what we are supposed to find interesting, amusing, memorable, important, upsetting, entertaining, frightening. I think the danger is as well, the reason why this is something that is, worth discussing, is that, the way everyone else perceives, how intelligent people perceive you to be, does, greatly affect the way they treat you. It can affect things like your job prospects, how you are treated in, by your friends and family, your self-esteem, and all these have, big knock-on effects. If you're constantly being told that, you're an idiot, you'll never amount to anything, you'll never have a job, it's, it does, really affect people long term, and the way they behave, the way they see themselves, their ambitions. The way they are seen, by employers, people who, as people around them, people who might take advantage of them, it's people who might bully them, these are all they're all ways that it would be of benefit to appear intelligent. You get maybe less negative assumptions made. I don't know. Well, fill in the blanks yourself. I suppose you don't really need me to tell you how the world treats and talks about people it considers to be of low intelligence. I'm not really describing it very well anyway. So, I think the thing about, Dougal as a character as well is that he's not very worldly. He's lived a sort of very isolated, almost institutionalised sort of life. He lives in this house where he's never expected to do anything remotely practical. He doesn't even know how to make a cup of tea himself because it's all done for him. I don't. There's never any sort of mention of his childhood. The only character that has any sort of past before arriving on Craggy Island is Jack, and it does. It showed a few flashbacks of when he was working as a teacher, and he was an absolutely horrible, awful person. He was violent to the kids and perving on the girls and things. I don't know if it's actually just in there, because it might be funny. I don't know. Is it funny? it's a bit tone deaf if it was, but but the effect, whatever the intention, the effect is that I suppose you lose any sympathy for him. It's not a tragedy that he's now so old and incapacitated that he's no longer a threat. But yeah, there's nothing about Dougal's childhood. I don't know if maybe he's a boarding school, maybe. Did his parents kind of spoil him a lot? I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have life skills, is the point that I'm coming to. Which, it isn't necessarily down to a lack of intelligence, whatever you perceive intelligence to be. It's just sort of being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, and you end up, never learning how to do any vital things. I'm sure if someone showed him how to put the kettle on, he'd be perfectly capable of doing that. Might pour boiling water all over himself a few times because, it is sitcom land after all, but he'd probably get the hang of it eventually. I believe in you, Dougal. Put the kettle on. I suppose he's kind of in the right job to a large extent, even though he says several times that he doesn't take it seriously at all. He's found himself somewhere where he can just be looked after and follow his interests. Play his board games and do his rollerblading and listen to his sound effects records and stuff in peace a lot of the time, and he doesn't really have a lot of responsibilities. But when you see when you actually see him being called upon to do something, 9 times out of 10, he does get it right. The sort of habitual day-to-day assistant duties and being a carer for Jack and that kind of thing. He's fairly competent at all these things. It's only when you sort of take him outside that comfort zone that he starts getting confused. And he has self-awareness. He does have some self-awareness that he's likely to say the wrong thing, that he doesn't have a lot of social skills. You can see whenever visitors come round, he kind of makes himself scarce. If he can't actually leave the room or hide somewhere, he just sits quietly until asked a question directly. That is something that happens repeatedly, and you see him kind of following Ted, taking his cues from Ted, who's not always the best guide. We're seeing there the safe person in autistic terms. Someone who you because you respect or you're just kind of stuck with, you follow them around, sometimes quite literally, speak through them, sort of use them almost as a comfort blanket a lot of the time. And who isn't quite as draining as anyone else, who isn't necessarily someone trustworthy, but who you do just sort of end up putting trust in, rightly or wrongly. And yes, Dougal has Ted. And a lot of the time, Dougal is apolitical. He doesn't really have feelings of his own on any kind of social issues. So he tends to just say, oh yeah, whatever Ted's saying. He just agrees with it, he does have a bit of a moral code, but again, he can be won over by Ted. That happens a few times. He's very much the passenger in the relationship. It's not just by his his job title, that he's Ted's assistant. He's also in terms of the everything else they do. He's just sort of following Ted around, really, doing as asked and necessary, and sometimes not. So yes. The thing I'm coming to is what even is intelligence all about? Is it down to general knowledge? Is it down to what kind of skills you have? Is it about... the thing that Father Ted seems to be saying, if we look on Dougal as just being an idiot, is intelligence is mostly, if not completely, about being able to toe the line of social expectation in your interests and your emotional expression. And it does have a lot of bearing on how you're perceived, how you are treated, and your self-worth. Could you even argue that the fact that Dougal still manages to have some sort of self-belief after he receives all this negativity, how he sort of keeps smiling when he's being insulted, is that a form of unintelligence? Or is it supposed to be, in the films, shows? Or is it bad luck, maybe? You just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, in the wrong sort of mindset too often. And of course, as neurodiverse people, as people have who have issues with, as I was saying, towing the line of social expectation regarding our interests and expressions and such. How much are we perceived as stupid, and how much does that affect our chances in life? I'll leave it with you. Comment if you have any thoughts, or don't, or say it to somebody else. I'm not bothered. I'm not the boss of you. Just keep it to yourself if you want. It's all one to me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.